Hello everyone. So today I would like to explain to you about explanation tags, and I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Nilo Yunovitasari and I'm from 6A class in English Language Education in Ganesha University of Education. So this is my name, and of course we're gonna talk about explanation tags for grades 11th for in high school. So what are you gonna learn today is that, of course, what explanation text is, and you will learn how to identify the explanation text per paragraph. And then the last one is that you will learn how to write an explanation text step by step. I will guide you. So let's go to the first step first. So what is explanation text actually? So explanation text is a text that gives explanation about how something works and why something can happen. And this text should provide the detail of an explanation in the logical and describe the stage in the process. So most of the time, explanation text is normally about life cycle, like a life cycle of cockroach or a natural phenomenon, how flood can happen, something like that. So the generic structures, there are three generic structures. So the first one is the general statement, which is the introduction of the phenomenon or explanation text. So you normally here you state what kind of phenomenon or life cycle that you're gonna write about, okay? And in the row of explanation, in the row of the explanation, normally you give the details explanation of the phenomenon or the stages, okay? And the interpretation, normally this one is not really necessary because most of the time in the explanation text normally they have general statement, and if row of explanation it's already enough. But if you want to give the interpretation, it's also okay. So this one is basic interpretation, is basically you can use you can use it or not. It depends on you and depends on the life cycle or the phenomenon as well that you're gonna write about. So the interpretation is the response of the statements in the introductory paragraph of the text, okay? So first we are going to watch a video from the TED Ed about the life cycle of butterfly. Okay, I'm sure you're familiar with butterfly. So first, let's we watch it.
In order to become a butterfly, a caterpillar's body dissolves almost completely and is rebuilt from its own juices. As inconvenient and even downright dangerous as this process sounds, it's actually quite common. Butterflies are just a few of the 800,000 insect species that transition from larvae to adults through complete metamorphosis. That's approximately 85% of insects and 70% of all known animal species. But how exactly does a caterpillar become a butterfly? When a caterpillar hatches from an egg, it has none of a butterfly's physical traits. It does have groups of cells inside its body called imaginal discs that will eventually become its butterfly parts. For now, these cells remain dormant. Juvenile hormone suppresses their activity and prevents the caterpillar from beginning metamorphosis too early. Immediately after hatching, the caterpillar begins to feed, building up fat until its rigid skin, called a cuticle, becomes too tight. At this point, a hormone called ecdysone triggers the cuticle to shed or molt. As the caterpillar grows, it usually molts 4 times. Then, when it's nice and plump, the caterpillar's levels of juvenile hormone drop, which triggers it to stop eating and moving. A final burst of ecdysone prompts the caterpillar's cells to begin to self-destruct. Soon, the muscles, fat, and other tissues are almost entirely liquefied, though the imaginal discs stay intact and begin to grow. At the same time, a second skin layer, called the pupal cuticle, forms underneath the first. One more molt exposes the hard exterior of the pupa. Besides the imaginal discs, only a few tissues are spared, including parts of the respiratory system, the heart, some abdominal muscles, and the mushroom bodies of the brain. The caterpillar juice then fuels the development of the imaginal discs into eyes, antennae, legs, wings, genitalia, and other body parts. Once its new body is built, the insect molts one last time, shedding the pupal cuticle. From there, it's free to fly away, a new butterfly. Even after such a dramatic transformation, the butterfly does retain some memories from its caterpillar days. It's likely the mushroom bodies of the brain carry important knowledge from the caterpillar over to the adult butterfly. How did such an involved developmental process come to be? We don't know for sure. The leading theory is that the caterpillar is actually a drawn-out version of a life stage that takes place inside the egg for some other insects. According to this hypothesis, over millions of years, the larvae evolved the ability to eat and live outside the egg. Regardless of how complete metamorphosis originated, it's become part of the life cycles of a dizzying number of insect species. Still, plenty of species get along perfectly well with a simpler developmental process. What survival advantages might complete metamorphosis provide to make up for the added hassle? For one, it keeps larvae and adults from competing for the same habitats and food sources. And while the pupa may seem vulnerable, this immobile stage can actually be a good way to pass parts of the year when food is scarce. To us, a butterfly's metamorphosis might sound as fantastic as a phoenix rising from its ashes. But these transformations are taking place all around us all the time. From the Hercules beetle to the honeybee to the garden ant, countless squishy larvae dissolve and emerge as armored, aerodynamic, and nimble adults. This video was animated by one of our all-time favorite artists, Avi Ofer. Avi has been animating TED Ed lessons since 2000.
So that's all about the life cycle of butterfly, and I really hope that you enjoy it. And now let's move on to the next one. So the next one is that I will give you a text, but don't worry, it's not really a long text. I will give you a paragraph per paragraph, so you will not feel burdened about it. And so first one is the introductory paragraph or the general statement about the life cycle of the butterfly. So as you can see here, we all love butterflies for their beautiful brightly colored wing, but did you know that these fab flyers begins life as something completely different? As they grow, they undergo one seriously terrific transformation, a process known as metamorphosis. So in this paragraph is the writer is trying to tell you what is the name of the life cycle of butterfly, or give you giving the introductions of the text. Okay, I think it's clear enough, and now we move on to the next one. So this one is the raw explanations. First one is that it all starts when a female butterfly lays her eggs, usually on leaves or stems of plants. Inside these tiny eggs caterpillars grow. Depending on the species, the eggs can vary in shape and texture. They can be round, oval, or cylindrical, and smooth, bumpy, or wrinkled. The time it takes for eggs to hatch can also vary. In some species, the, they will hatch within a few weeks, and in others, they will only hatch once the, the weather is warm enough. And after the eggs, it will goes on to this one, to the caterpillar. So once ready, the caterpillar leaves its eggs, its egg home, and enters the big outside world. And these little critters have one serious appetite. They actually eat their way out of the eggs and immediately start chomping on on the leaves of the host plants. So during this stage, they shed their skins 4 or 5 times as the caterpillar grows. Its skin becomes too tight and splits open, revealing a new, larger skin underneath. A fully grown caterpillar can be over 100 times larger than when it emerged from its egg now. Wow. And after caterpillars, it's the next steps is that once fully grown, the caterpillar forms itself into a pupa. So this one is called pupa or chrysalis, a kind of vessels in which the caterpillar changes into a butterfly. They usually do this on twigs or safe, hidden area around the host plant. The pupa stage may last a few weeks to several months, depending on the species as well. So during these times, a hardened case forms around the pupa to protect it from predators and extreme weather conditions, and inside the tissue, limbs, and organs of the caterpillar transform. So the results, a wonderful winged butterfly. So let's look at this. So once the butterfly is ready to emerge, the case around the pupa splits open, but it's not time for takeoff just yet, as the wings are at first wet, soft, and wrinkled against its body. The butterfly waits for its wings to dry and pumps a liquid called hemolymph into them so that they become big and strong. Once fit for flight, these brilliant bugs then take to the air and search for flowers to feed on and for other butterflies to mate with. And that cycles and that's the cycles complete and again and ready to start to all over again. So this text is adapted from Nat Geo Kids. And now, after you read the text, I give you several questions as usual. Uh, these questions are: what is the names of transformation process of the butterfly? And the second one is that what is the first cycle of butterfly? And when do the critters shed their skins? And then what will the caterpillars do before they become butterfly? And then the last one is that what will the butterflies do before they can fly? So those questions are already in the text before the answer. So if you want to look for the answer, you go back the to the text before like this. So now I'm gonna show you the key answer. So before you look at the key answer, make sure that you already answer all of the questions, okay? So the number one, the name of the life cycle of the butterfly is metamorphosis. So that's the answer of the number one. So number two, it starts when the female butterfly lays her eggs, usually on leaves or stems of plants. So number three, so they shed their egg, the critters shed their skin, so when start chopping on the leaves of the house plants. Yeah. And the third one is that when the caterpillars grows. And the fourth one is that the caterpillar forms itself into a pupa or chrysalis, a kind of vessels in which the caterpillar changes into a butterfly. And then the last one is that the butterfly waits for its wings to dry and pumps a liquid called hemolymph into them so that they become big and strong. So those are the answer of the questions. So now you already know what explanation text is and you already identify the explanation text paragraph by paragraph. And now is it's your time to write a really simple explanation text. What you have to do first is that you think about your favorite animal and think about the life cycle of the animal. And after you think about the life cycle of the animal that you're gonna write about, so first you have to answer this question. First one is that what life cycle is this? And then how many phases does this life cycle have? And what is the first phase of this life cycle? And how this first phase of life cycle happen? And then what is the second phase of of this life cycle? And then how is the last phase of this life cycle happen? Actually, the phase of life cycle, it can be very, just depends on the life cycle itself. So if you go, so like the butterfly before, it may be four life cycle. I mean, before phase, but if you go to the other life cycle, it's maybe it will be more or less phases. Okay, so it depends on the life cycle that you choose, and so you do the so you answer what is the first phase of the life cycle, and you answer the same questions until your last phase. So, okay, look at and the total number of the phases can be varied. And yeah, answer the questions from the first phase until the last phase of the life cycle. So, because it can be varied, I can't give you how many phases that in the life cycle can happen. Okay, so these two questions, you have to do it for first phase until the last one. So keep in mind for that. And what you are gonna write is that in the writing draft, so before you have this writing draft, you have to answer those questions that I gave it to you before. So the paragraphs, okay, after you answer that, you have to look at this one, the paragraph one. It include the answer of what life cycle is this, and then what is the name of this life cycle, and how many phases does this life cycle have. Okay, so that's about the number paragraph 2. And in the paragraph 3, until the rest of your paragraph, it just includes what is the pace of this life cycle and how the pace of the life cycle happen. Is it continues until the paragraph 3, 4, 5? It depends on your life cycle itself again, okay? So that's about a writing draft that you have to look into it. So how many paragraphs that you're gonna have in your explanation? explanation tags is depends on your life cycle, how many paces that you have. Okay, if just before in the butterfly life cycle that I showed you, it only has only 5 paragraphs because the pace is only 4, and there is an introductory paragraph, so it's gonna be 5. So I'm not really sure how many paragraphs that you will have because it depends on the paces that you have. For example, you have 3 paces of the life cycle, and then you also add the introductory, so it's gonna be 4 paragraphs. So it also doesn't matter because the matter is that the paces that you have. And now, I really want to say thank you for watching, and I really hope that this video can help you to write a really simple explanation text, and you did a good job during watching the video, I think. So thank you so much.